Pea Horsley, you are most welcome to Livsenergipodden.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
I just told you, but I wanted to get that in here as well. I've just been on a short walk with my dog and I couldn't stop smiling because I was super excited to meet you. It is a very, very interesting subject that we're going to discuss.
Yeah, it's a gigantic part of my life.
So, animal communication.
Mm-hmm.
Is this what you do for a living?
Yeah, this is it. I have been doing this professionally full time since 2006. So yeah, 16 years now, full time, very busy.
It's amazing.
It's an honor. It's just the best thing ever, I think. I first discovered it in 2004 through my dog, Morgan, and that came about actually because I was working in theatre as a stage manager at the time, really grounded, very analytical, time focused, working with people. But I thought I'd been doing that for 15 years and was very lucky. I got to work with amazing actors and directors like Harold Pinter. And I got to this point where I thought that I just don't know if I want to do this for the rest of my life. I'd like to get back to my first love, which is animal. And I remember sitting down on my sofa with my partner and we're going through all these kind of jobs that it could be the thing that I moved to, and none of them made sense to me. I said, it's something else. It's something that I don't even know what it's called, but there is something else that I would like to do. And that's when we adopted our first dog, Morgan, who was a rescue, and he came very, very sad. And I thought, I really want to understand why he's sad. I want to understand him better. Yeah. And where I adopted him from, which is a rescue in North London, sent an email saying, get to know your animals better, animal communication workshop. And I thought, oh, okay, that's a politically correct way of saying work with your dog's body language. So I went along and very quickly realized that wasn't it at all. It was actually telepathic animal communication, all from intuition. I nearly walked out in the morning because I thought, this is bonkers. This is not possible. It doesn't exist. It's Dr. Dolittle. But thankfully I stayed because that decision changed the rest of my life. In the afternoon, we were partnered up. My partner shared a photo with me. I was meant to work out what is the animal in the photo, and with it face down, just by feeling it. And I thought, well, this is ridiculous. But okay, who are you? What are you? Rabbit popped into my head, and I was like, no. Turned it over, it was a picture of a rabbit, and I thought, that's a lucky guess. And then we had to ask these questions, what's your favorite food? What's your favorite activity? Who's your best friend? And my internal dialogue, honestly, was, this is ridiculous. I'm meant to be asking a rabbit these questions. And this is not even a real rabbit in front of me. This is a photograph of a rabbit. And I, internally I said, and you can't hear me, can you? And then I heard this response in my mind with my own voice that said, who do you think is listening to you? Just get on with it. And that was one of those moments where, am I going to ignore this? Is it me going slightly lula with all this, talk of Dr. Dolittle stuff in the room? But I thought, well, I've got nothing else to do. Everybody appears to be doing this thing but me, because my internal dialogue is, this is crazy. But I went, all right, so if you can hear me, tell me, what's your favorite food? And I saw an image with my mind's eye of green leaves. And I thought, well, it's a rabbit. It's going to be something like that. What's your favorite activity? I saw an image of a sofa and I thought, okay, I'm making this up. Who's your best friend? This time I saw an image of a like deep coffee colored, like espresso coffee colored rabbit. And I thought, right. And then we had to share what we had. And my partner said, okay, green leaves, not his favorite food. I was like, Activity. Yeah, this rabbit apparently sits on the sofa and watches TV and watches You've Been Framed. So that's his favorite activity. I was blown away by that.
Yeah,
And then
I can
who's your
imagine.
best friend? His best friend is this deep coffee-colored rabbit, and she does rabbit rescue, so she had lots, but she only had one that was deep coffee-colored, and that's who he was bonded with. And it was like, okay, I couldn't process it fast enough. I kind of went, no, I really don't think so. But what really blew my mind actually was when she communicated with my cat, Texas. This complete stranger described my hallway, which is very distinctive, how to reach the sofa and the name that I called, the color of that sofa, and then his favorite thing to sit on in the garden and where it was positioned.
Oh,
It
really?
was like, he'd given her this tour of my home before the workshop. It was just quite incredible. And so I came home and said to my partner, I think I've just been talking to a rabbit, but my partner has definitely been talking to Texas. It was really one of those moments where I had to really change my belief systems and go, there's something in this that I, until this moment, did not think existed or was possible.
So how do you view animal communication? Because this has led you to actually become a worldwide known animal communicator. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is it's spectacular, isn't it?
It is
So,
from someone that used to be a skeptic and an atheist. Yeah, it's quite a change.
so before you met this new way of communicating, what did your beliefs what were your beliefs about spirituality, and were you open, had you an open mind to things, to life?
Um, Interesting. I think yes, it's the answer. Basically, I had an open view of life because um, I dabbled in tarot cards. My friend where I was sharing digs with as a student at theatre school got her tarot cards out all the time, and I thought that was fun. And then someone else I met was interested in something else, and that was fun. And I guess I had a bit of an interest in it, but didn't really engage in it at all. Because I was so focused on theatre at that time. But then what I did do is I went into theatre that was new writing, that was about exploring and questioning everything. Um, and I've always been a nonconformist, even though I might look very conforming. I'm not.
Good.
I've always questioned things. I've always kind of followed my own path, my own rules. And I think that kind of state of mind also helps with just opening up to things that you haven't perceived before, that haven't been part of your consciousness before. It makes it easier to go to, rather than completely reject it outright, to go, ooh, I'm a bit curious about this. And actually, if this can help me help Morgan's sadness, then I am definitely all in. I want to find out what this is about so that I can help my dog.
Yeah. So let's come back to Morgan and his sadness. I mean, in order to feel his sadness, you must have also had connection with him before you could actually communicate with him.
Yeah, and I think that just comes back to having a love of animals, a deep love of animals where I care what they're feeling.
Yeah.
Um, you could say I'm an empath, you could say I'm sensitive, both those things are true, but beyond that, it's because I love animals.
Mm.
And I don't just love my animals that live with me. I just love all animals,
Mm.
all of them. Maybe not the mosquitoes so much, but I'm trying to form friendships with them. But I just love all animals, and I really care about them feeling happy and balanced and enjoying their lives, and that they are living their best life.
Mm.
So, if people see someone pushing a pram down with a baby down the street, they might go, "Oh, baby." My reaction is, "Oh, puppy." "Oh, dog." I'm like, "Oh," I will be in my car and go, "Oh," whenever I see an animal. I mean, my heart just kind of just goes, "Woof."
Mm. Do you think that's prerequisite in order to be able to communicate with animals?
I think the prerequisite is curiosity, to be honest.
Mhm.
I think if you are curious, if that creates an openness that can start an engagement and a connection. If you have a love of animals, it can just be the one that you are living with at home that forges that strong heart-to-heart connection that enables an exchange of information between the two. It's such a simple thing, Alexandra, animal communication, because it really is all about love. It's really about, I want to understand you better. I love you. I want to understand you better. Let's have a conversation. And everyone can do it. Everyone has this ability to do it. This is why I'm so excited that Animal Communication Made Easy, is getting further and further around the world. And I wrote it with Texas, so he's delighted. And we're just, we're on this mission basically to get animal communication into every single country, into everybody's hearts.
Yeah. I've had a few contacts with other people that are communicating with animals, but I've never learned how to. And I'm actually super excited to learn. I need to learn. I want to learn because it gives me hope in my situation with my animals, and hope for my family as well to deal with what we are actually in and have been in for a few years now. But so we're also getting better, so we're on the right track. I just hope that I have the dedication needed to, it feels like it's a big thing that I need to take on, and perhaps it's not. What do you think? What's the first step? Where should I start? Where should we start?
Yeah, good question. The first thing I'd say is it's not a big thing because it's so natural. We're all born with this ability because we're all intuitive beings.
Mm.
So the easiest first step is really to focus on being present with your animal. It's one of the first exercises I've put in the book because that's the beginning. It's actually not being distracted, not feeling you've got to be here, there, and everywhere, and actually just giving your animal time with you where you're just being with them,
Mm.
being. That really opens doors for animals to go, "Oh, this human is with me. They're really with me right now. They're not just in the same space doing, they're actually here with me."
Mm.
Because then from that space of being together and being completely present, communication can just start to flow naturally without any effort. So that's the first exercise I would say, is take that first step where you give over regular time each week, whether it's 5 minutes daily, whether it's 10 minutes, a couple of days a week, where you are learning how to be present with your animal.
And not have the phone like this.
Yeah,
Just be in the room or in the forest with
with
the
them.
animal. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
because then you'll move into your heart space
Mm.
from your mind. And that's the journey, that's the journey where we need to start from with the animal. So the easiest thing is to learn to be present with them. And I say easy because sometimes people struggle being present.
Oh, yeah. It's not easy.
In
Not
this
easy.
moment present. But that's also a choice.
Yeah, it is a choice. But, that choice, I feel, because I can totally relate to what you're saying, I think Bianca came into my life in order to teach me presence. Because she doesn't allow me to talk to someone when we're on a walk. She doesn't, because then she will go off, do stupid things. And she doesn't like it when I listen to pods and something. I need to be present with her on our walks. So
Yeah, that's probably very true, that this is one of the gifts that she is bringing you to. When we're on a walk, we are on a walk. We are
yeah,
together on a walk. I had a dog, my previous dog, Bodhi, was the same. He was a black lab cross, and he was a complete gentleman. But he did not like it if I was distracted on the walk, if I wasn't present with him. Same thing. He didn't do naughty things, but he would kind of like go off and kind of do his own walk to make me realize that I was not present with him.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're smart.
They are smart, and they're all different. There are dogs that, well, all animals that are more evolved than others. There are some animals whose souls reincarnated various times, so they kind of know what they're doing and why they're here and what they're going to be doing with you. And then there's others who are, woo, it's my first time in a body and this is great. And it's all about the food and the play and the swimming and the chasing the ball and the barking at the birds, and it's all about the physical things, and that's okay.
But this is interesting. So from being, you said before I was an atheist. So when hearing you now, you say that that some dogs and some animals have had previous lives and reincarnated several times, etc. So I figure, is this something they tell you, or is it something that you have understood? So obviously, this animal communication is more than just communicating with animals today.
Yeah, animal communication, it's interspecies communication that can broaden out to every single being on the planet. Um, and what I learned was through the animals teaching me over and over again through my clients' communications that it's actually just as easy to communicate with your animal who's passed over as it is with your animal that's in the room with you. And actually, sometimes it's easier because they're not distracted by physical things, because they're not in that physical form, which they call a vessel. And at one of the workshops when I was training, I learned that communicating with animals that passed over is possible, and just changed my belief system fairly quickly. I think where I went from someone who all through childhood had such a strong fear of death and wouldn't let even anybody talk about it around me, I would just cry, because for me it was black, it was the end, it was final. So animals' gift to me was helping me realize that life goes on, that there is life after life. And in fact, Morgan taught me a lot of that. And my second book, which is The Animal Communicator's Guide Through Life, Loss and Love, focuses very much on what different animals feel about approaching the end of their life, what death means to them, how they can be helped, what they need from their guardian in those moments, and what life is like on the other side after they've passed over. And Morgan asked me to write that book to bring people comfort. And he started me kind of thinking about it as he was dying, as he was approaching the end of his life. He got me to start writing, literally, what are you feeling? Write it down every day, write it down. So I did, because I always just do whatever Morgan tells me to do. And then after he transitioned, it was the biggest shock and deepest grief for me, because he was essentially my business partner. He got me into animal communication. He'd set me up. He taught me so much. I'm getting shivers actually just thinking about him. And then after he transitioned, it was about 2 days later, he said, "Sit down." And within 30 minutes, he'd outlined the entire book for me. This is what the focus is. This is what every chapter will be. And this is what I want you to do. And I did.
That's
With
cool.
yeah. So now I'm all in for communicating with animals that passed over, of course.
I can understand that. I'd like to, yeah, I have a few. I actually have, yeah, for myself, when in adulthood, I have 2 passed over cats.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And one alive and one dog. Yeah. But this thing about being into animals, it can look very differently because it didn't come naturally to me when I was a kid, as I understood it did for you. But still, do we have the same ability?
Yes, because we're born with it. You know, we're all born intuitive.
Yeah.
You know, babies and young children, they're so in the moment, reacting with what's going on. They're sensing things all the time
Mm.
because they haven't got all these veils that we start to put in place as we grow up and become adults, and all of the influences that we have from society and teachers and family and everything else hasn't, you know, put all these layers over the truth of what we intuitively know. Um, and even if that happens, um, you can come back to it, because I remember as a child, you know, I just loved to hang out with my cats. I used to love to hang out with Winston. I used to love to hang out with Pixie. I used to just like to be out with the butterflies, you know, just chatting away to the animals in the field without even thinking that animal communication was a thing then. I just kind of talked to them.
Yeah.
Um, and then I went to school and it all stopped. And everything stopped, you know. I wasn't able to carry it on because studies took over, and it wasn't until much, much later in my adulthood that I I felt my heart saying, "You need to get back to animals."
Yeah. That's beautiful, though. What do you, I mean, you meet people. I bet your schedule is full with people who want to connect with you about animal communication in different ways.
Mhm.
What is the biggest reason people contact you?
Well, the biggest reason is because they want to resolve an issue they feel they have with their animal, which can be so many different things. You know, it can be that your dog doesn't let you talk to people on the street because they'll bark and or lunge at them. It can be because your dog has separation anxiety. It can any kind of behavioral issue that underlining that is always an emotion or a teaching. People come to me with those things. You know, why is my cat peeing on my head?
Mm.
Seriously. Lots of things, you know. Why does my horse not like black horses but is okay with all the other horses?
Mm.
Um, People need help when they are having building work done, babies coming into the family, new partners coming into the family, moving home. They're worried that their animal is ill. What can they do to help them? And we don't diagnose as animal communicators, but what we can do is we can ask the animal, you know, what kind of help do you need from your person? What's going on for you? Um, and then they can work with their vet to reach a conclusion. And that's when animal communication works brilliantly. You know, I work with my vet and he knows what I do, and he says, you know, you've got the best job in the world. I was so like, wow, I can't believe he's saying that. But working with your vet and doing, you know, integrating everything together is wonderful, because you're bringing the animal in as a whole sentient being holistically, plus the vet and all of their skills, which are really valid as well, to come to conclusion for the best and the highest good of that animal. I also track missing animals, so that's something else that people can learn when they begin animal communication. And so once they've read the book, if they're interested in trying to help others or they have an animal that goes missing, they can use the skills that they learn in the book to try to then locate that animal or to bring them home.
Oh,
Um, that's really it's quite hard, but there are things that I teach in the book that everyone can do. which is to express to the animal, where are you? How can I find you? Can you come home? I want to let you know I miss you. I want you to come home. I love you. You know, all these things. And then, of course, end of life, supporting animals, end of life. What do they want? What kind of transition do they want? Do they want intervention or not? Do they want to transition at home, or do they not care at all? What do they want me to do with their body? Do they want to be buried? Do they want cremation? Where do they want me to spread their ashes? You know, and these things really bring people a lot of comfort. You know, I had a client in Australia whose dog, they didn't have children, so this dog was their world. You know, this couple, and when he transitioned, the thing that really gave him so much comfort was that the dog described this particular place, which was a cliff overlooking the sea, and there wasn't much detail because the dog kind of like said, it's a cliff overlooking the sea. They know where it is, you know, with a lot of tone, like they know where it is. So I shared that with him and said, you know, your dog's really clear that you will know where this is. And it's where they got married.
Oh.
So, you know, it's things like that when these animals can communicate.
Yeah.
Just even one piece of detail that helps the person find comfort, or a piece of detail that helps them go, okay, now I understand that behavior and what I need to do to help resolve it. Because a lot of the time it comes back to the human needing to change.
Yeah. Yeah, I get a little tear-eyed here because it's, I think it's just beautiful what you can learn. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Tears are good. And then, of course, you know, it extends out, because once you start communicating with your own animals, if you have animals, then you can start communicating with all the animals outside, in the yard, in the garden, in the park, and then all the other wild creatures, you know, the whales, the dolphins, the bears, the wolves, everyone is there then ready to listen to you communicate with them.
Yeah. And do you have some good reasons for us to actually start learning this skill? What you say so many things about animal communication. Tell us.
Yeah, it's really about reconnecting with love, which is I believe, the most important thing that we can do as humans on the planet, especially now. And the animal's message is always, you know who you are. It doesn't matter which species I communicate with, they always want to express, know who you are, because then our relationship with the animal kingdom as part of the animal kingdom, and our relationship with nature as part of nature, shifts. And that shift starts to bring us back into balance. So that's one of the animals' main reason that they want all of humankind to communicate with them. For people reading the book, that can feel a bit big, I understand. So really for you, you know, step by step, it's about you understanding the animal right in front of you, and then learning from that, helping them, and they will be helping you, because animals are massive healers and teachers. They have so much to share. You hinted on Bianca teaching you to be present, but they have so much to teach us all of the time, and they're healing us all of the time. I've spoken to so many people who have literally had their lives saved by their animals through the toughest times in their life. Without the animal in their life, they would not be here. So start with the curiosity. Start with the one in front of you, or the one that you adore, whether it is, you know, a cricket, or whether it's a squirrel, or whichever species you like, pelican, wherever you live in the world. And just go with them and start being present with them, and then start the questioning with them. And what will happen is that your consciousness will be expanding through every single communication, and your understanding of the animal kingdom will completely transform. And I really feel that once we start communicating, and there is an animal communicator in every single one of us can do this, then our relationship with life changes. How we interact with other people changes. How we approach our work or our home life changes once we start to communicate with animals.
So, what does it look like when communicating with an animal? It's not spoken words.
No, it's not. It's all through the senses. So it's energy, electromagnetic energy. So when we're communicating really from love, which is 500 hertz. It's right up here. Whereas anger and shame is more like 20 hertz. So we're coming into the heart space. We're extending a feeling of love to our animal. And then what I always like to teach everybody communicating with domestic animals that share our space is manners. Manners really count for those that you're living with. They go a long way. So with your dog, I'd be saying, hi, Bianca, I love you and I'd really like to communicate with you. And then I'd wait. If there's no resistance, I'd then go, so how's your day going? I'd ask a nice open question to her rather than, okay, what's the worst thing happening in your life that you want to change? I'd want to start. That's not how we approach human to human communication. So we just have to be mindful about, what are the questions that we're asking? And then I would wait. And so the way that you can receive energy impressions back, the information back from your animal, is through feelings that you literally feel in your own body. You feel their sadness, you feel their joy, you feel the confusion, you feel their curiosity, whatever that is. You just suddenly you go from being neutral to, oh, there's that emotion. You might feel something in your physical body as they're trying to express, my back hurts or my paw is sore. And it's like your lower back might have a bit of an ache, or your left hand might have a bit of an ache. Another way of receiving that information is that literally you get your eyes drawn to that area of the body when you're asking that question. How are you feeling in your physical body right now? And your eyes go, boom. And then you can say, okay, I think this is an area of concern you're showing me. Is this a sore point for you? And you carry on the conversation.
Yeah.
You also get thought forms, and that's how I mainly get my communication from animals, which is one of the hardest things for a beginner. You literally feel like it's your own internal voice making it all up.
Yeah.
But it's the energy coming to you that gets translated into your own language, into words that you then can comprehend in just a few words or sentences, or I can write entire reams from the animal. And that's about trusting. With the thought forms, you just have to trust it. Those words that come to you, just have to trust it. Take a leap of faith and trust it, because then with practice you'll learn the art of resonance, and that's when you can move from doubting everything into, that's resonating for me, that feels right. Or the alternative is, I'm not sure about that. Put a question mark by it, because it's probably your head making it up.
Yeah.
But you have to have a free imagination. A lot of people think that, having an imagination is actually counterproductive because you're making it up. But actually, having a free imagination means that the quirky things, the things you're not expecting from the animal, can reach you because you're so open to everything. And then there's smells and there's tastes. And I feel like I've lost one. There's the gut knowing as well, which
Gut knowing, yeah.
we all have the gut knowing. We have a gut knowing when we meet someone and go, oh, I'm not sure about this person, or this person is fab. You've only just met them, or you walk into a building and you have a gut knowing about that space, like, I feel really comfortable in here, or I think I need to leave, So that intuitive part of ourselves that we are born with, we're just accessing that through these different pathways in order to have this exchange with an animal. And I really want to stress it's an exchange. We're not reading them. It's not something we do to them. They are another living being with their own thoughts and feelings and their own life and their own things that they want to do, which aren't always what we want them to do. So we're having like a conversation with them in the broadest terms of how we're receiving these impressions of energy from them in order to understand them.
Thank you. Can I ask you about your vet again? You
Yes.
said he told you, or she told you, that you have the best job in the world. Has this person ever been interested in learning to communicate with animals?
He's interested in it. He has read all of my books.
Oh yeah, good.
Yeah. He has them on the windowsill in his surgery. His receptionist refers people to me when their animals go missing. So he's really open to it, but he hasn't attended a workshop. I think there's a part of him that, he's so scientifically led that he focuses that's his lane, He's really open-minded and he believes in it 100%, but his skill set is there.
Yeah.
So that's where he's staying. Yeah.
Good. I don't think that's a problem. It's just, I was just curious to hear if he also could learn.
He can learn, and I do have vets and I have veterinary nurses attend the workshops all the time. I know an animal communicator who is a vet who communicates with the animals, which is so helpful
Yeah.
because you can say, "Hey, you're safe. This is what I'm going to be doing. Is that okay? Okay, now I'm going to do this bit, and this is why." Animals want to know why. Why are you sticking that up my bottom? Why are you doing that? Why are you holding my paw? So it's really, really helpful. But once you read the book, you can, as the guardian of the animal, also do that. You can explain to them before they go to the vet why you want to take them there, what's going to happen. You can picture it all in your mind. Then you can discuss with the vet, explain to me first what you're going to do. And also, if your vet doesn't, insist that they greet your animal and don't just go, "Hello, how are you?" and put their hands on them. It's so rude.
Yeah.
Animals can't bear it. So,
They're afraid enough, right, when in that office.
yeah, but there are a few vets that I think they forget because they're very busy. It's a highly stressed job. So yeah, just give them a gentle reminder to greet your animal if they haven't.
Yeah, I'll definitely remember that. Yeah, one thing I was thinking about. So presence is important for us in order to communicate with the animals. Are there any state of minds that we could not be in when talking to the animals? Is there anything like the pitfalls we should avoid? So when in this state, you should not
Yeah.
try to communicate with your animal.
Yeah, there are, and I think this is good to highlight as well. And I have put them in the book, and it's about acknowledging our own limitations as well as a human. So if we're really tired, that would not be a great place to start trying to practice your communication for the first time. If you're angry about something, just imagine a human coming to you who's got all this anger emotion about the fact that you've just spilled coffee on their favorite white sofa and wants to have a conversation about it. You probably won't really want to have a conversation with them at that point. So the same with animals, be mindful of your emotion, be mindful of, are you really tired? Have you had such a stressful day that actually, tonight might not be the best time to be trying to practice communication? So create space for it in your life. Find a time where you know that you've got an hour or half an hour, you feel relaxed, you feel Everything is right in your world for this short time where you can just be present with your animal. When if something happens like it's an emergency, our instant response will be naturally worry, or panic. So for example, if I give a true example of Texas, somebody knocked on my door and said, my wife's just run over a ginger cat. And my heart leapt because I've got the only ginger cat in my street. And I went, where? And he was like, just up there. I went, okay. Where did the cat go? And he said, I don't know. I went, all right, thank you. So I went out and I walked up and down the street, and I was in this, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God state, which is not conducive to communicating. And then I went, no, I've got to just bring myself back to my heart. So I focused on my breathing, which is the very first step of communicating. Focus on the breath, bring yourself present, relax your body, completely change your whole feeling of being present there. Then come down into your heart. And then I said to Texas, I love you. Show me where you are. Instantly, I felt drawn to come back down towards my house and then go through somebody's side gate into the back of their garden. And that's where he was. And initially, and this can happen with cats, he was like in fear survival state. He didn't know it was me. He just saw a human at that point. So I didn't go rushing towards him because I knew he would bolt. And I just stood still and I was like, Texas, it's me. It's just me. I bent down. I love you, darling. It's just me. And then clicked and he came to me and I took him home and he was okay. He was okay.
It was
Had him
okay.
checked over and
Mm.
so this is what we need to do in emergency settings. If there's anything where you're suddenly like in a point with your animal where you really need to find them or communicate with them, remember to come back to your breathing, down into your heart, send love to them. I love you. I love you. Ask a simple question. And how we ask questions of the animals is really important because every single word is energy, and behind the question, behind the words, is automatically emotion and picture. So when we're asking the questions, keep them very concise. One question per question, not like two or three that dart all over the place. It adds confusion. And just keep it really simple. And as often as you can, avoid yes or no type questions, that will create that answer, yes or no, because they're very limiting. They don't give us much information.
Oh, so avoid questions to the animal that
Yeah.
could be a yes or no answer from
Yeah.
her.
Yeah. Are you feeling okay today? Could be a yes or a no. Whereas how are you feeling today means we're actually going to get something that's a bit more interesting in the sense of we're going to get more information. We're going to know better.
What comes to mind when talking about this is because when I do have this kind of, I have this kind of situations, not often anymore, but they happen with Bianca, for example. And it's those situations where I get very afraid instantly like this, and I fear for other animals' safety. And because she doesn't like the dogs when we're walking on in the forest, for example, and she doesn't like the dogs that pass our house, and she can jump on them if she gets the chance. And so when that happens, I get super nervous, of course, and anxious and afraid, and so my heart jumps. And I've been trying to find a way, because I do know intellectually, I know that she can sense that, she can feel my fear, and maybe that triggers her. I don't know, but that's an idea I have. So would you say even in that kind of situation, I should just get down to the presence and breathing and calmness.
I think we have to be very mindful of the energy that we are expressing to our animals, especially dogs, if you're holding the lead, because the energy is connected between them and us. I'd be interested in the situation. Is she actually being reactive to other dogs on the street? Because dogs around our house is a territorial thing. From the safety of her home, she can bark as much as she likes because they can't get her. So she's kind of like asserting herself verbally, but in safety. But if she's reactive on the street, maybe actually it's coming from anxiety rather than a desire to attack them, in which case there are other ways that you can help her. And definitely as an animal communicator, you need to say, I've got this. We're safe. Listen to me. You're constantly communicating what you want to happen, not what you don't want to happen. Because they don't really engage with negatives, don't, won't, shouldn't. Forget all of that. Communicate what you want to happen, because behind that will be the emotion of what you want to happen and the picture of you seeing them. So don't bite that dog. What you're actually doing is you're saying, bite that dog, and behind that will be an image of her biting the dog, for example. And the more you say, don't bite that dog, the more they're like, okay, I'll go and bite that dog. It's more, you're pushing it more. So if we change our language a little bit and work out what is the cause, what is the emotion underneath the behavior. So questions that you're going to be asking her is why? Because I feel that those are different situations. So I'd be asking her, why do you do this behavior there? Why do you do this behavior here? What are you expressing? Because she'll have a reason.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure she does. Yeah.
And once you understand the reason, then you can move forward with resolving the problem.
Yeah. It'll be an interesting it will be an interesting journey, I'm sure.
The other thing that you can do, I remember communicating with a client's dog who was brought to me as a really, really aggressive dog. And I was doing a home visit. So I communicated with the dog before I went. And I said, you're going to know it's me because I'm arriving in a red car. I pictured my car. And you feel my energy. You know who I am. And I'm going to say, it's me. It's P. So I turned up. I stayed in my car. The dog was there going crazy, barking aggressively. She wanted to kill me. And I said, it's me, it's P, look at my red car, before I even got out. And I gave it a few minutes. Then I got out and I kept repeating. And then I went through the gate towards the dog and I kept saying the same thing. It's me, it's P. It's me, it's P. You know who I am. The dog stopped barking, stopped lunging. We went inside. We gave it a few minutes. I'm constantly holding this frequency of love and calm throughout the whole thing. There's no fear and anxiety in my zone, which is something you can learn from snakes very easily. So I'm really, really calm. And I go in and my calm connects with her. She knows she's safe with me. We've had a communication. I understand where this barking is coming from, this aggression. So within 5 minutes, I say to the guard, you can let her off the lead. She lies down. I lie down on the floor with her. For the next hour, I'm stroking her. She's got paws in the air. The guardian says she has never, ever done that.
No.
And it's just, about sharing what you want to happen and really remaining true in that resonance of love and calm.
Yeah. So, conclusion, just from what I take with me from this fantastic meeting. It's not quite the end yet, but I just want to conclude anyways and just say, so be present, talk from the heart, and you don't speak loudly, you speak silently, right?
You can do both. So it depends what the animal likes. So Texas liked me to talk out loud to him, where Morgan liked me to talk silently to him.
Yeah, and you can ask that, obviously.
You can ask that, and you can also see what works for you.
Yeah.
You know, the same with when you do the communication, what time of day works best for you? So to think about all these things.
Yeah, for me and for her, obviously.
Yeah.
But the hard thing, I think, is, well, as you said, it's key, isn't it?
It is key. It's a connection of energy from a human to another species on that frequency of unconditional love. And when we approach any being like that, they will be open to exchanging and communicating back with us.
Yeah.
If we go in with agenda, if we go in with expectations, you've got to stop this, I don't like that, you're driving me crazy, you're doing that to hurt me, you're not going to have an effective communication that brings resolution. So yeah, come from the heart, come from unconditional love. And it's so much easier than you probably think it is, because it's natural. You know, we are communicating with life all of the time on some degree. And it's as simple as, like, you think of a friend and then the phone rings and it's your friend on the other end of the phone. It's just like this. It's that gut feeling and that connection with all of life.
Coming back to the telepathy and the intuition, is that equal? Intuition and telepathy?
Is it equal?
Is it equal? Is it the same?
Well, telepathy is Greek for feeling across a distance, and intuition is that, I would like to think of it as the inner compass. You know, it's that inner sense of how we are feeling our way through the world. So it's the kind of the same, I think, really. I think the best way to approach this, from my point of view, is how I see it, is don't worry about the labels. You know, it's really not about the labels. If there's a label that you connect with, then use that if that helps you move forward. But really, it's about the essence of what it is, was it's an energy exchange with another being. Once you start engaging with that method that I outline in the book, and all the ways to get past the ego and the self-doubt, all those barriers that can then flag up once we start, what you'll find is that you can use this method to communicate with other sentient beings. So if trees interest you, if you have a favorite tree, use this method to communicate with the tree, and then with the plants, and then with the rocks. And it's universal, because energy is universal. We are connected across all space and time. We are all beings of stardust, and light. So it's the same. We are all equal beings in this incredible universal existence that we are currently having, this human incarnated physical experience of life.
So that's another point that I take with me. Learning to communicate with animals opens up an entire world of understanding life and earth and the universe in a completely different way.
Yeah,
I can sense it. I can still not see it exactly the way you see it, but I can sense that it's mind-blowing.
Heart expanding. Yeah.
So if you wanted to, if I wanted to take one of your courses, would I bring an animal to it, or is it just me?
You bring you, and you bring your animals via photographs.
Yeah.
Rather than the physical animal. Yeah.
So we would start the way you started 16 years ago.
Yes, but I bring in guest teachers, so our animals come in. So you have the mix of working with animals through photographs, and also animal guest teachers who I organize to bring in. And the reason I do it that way is because it's the easiest starting point for a beginner. Because if they had their animal with them, They'd be distracted all the time. What are they doing? Are they happy? Do they need to go to the toilet? Are they thirsty? Oh dear, they've taken a dislike to that animal over there. And then imagine if you've had all these cats and all these dogs and these birds and these rabbits all in a room. I mean, it would be heaven, but it could also be chaos. So in order to have human beings' attention, what I do instead is I bring in guest teachers for a teaching session where everybody communicates with this animal communicates with everyone, and that is mind-blowing, because the animals know what they're doing most of the time. Sometimes they're a bit like, oh, what's this? But some of them just walk in that room and they own it, and they go to people that have just lost a dog and they sit on their feet and the woman bursts into tears. They'll go to somebody that is scared of their breed and lie down to the side of them, looking away from them so that they start to feel safe with them. Mm-hmm. They will answer questions. You know, the guardian is always there at the front of the room next to me. The question could be, you know, who's your best friend? And the dog, I have lots of species, but I'm just using dog. The dog will get up from being with one of the students, doing the work with one of the students on a heart level, and come right round. You'll hear the dog go, he is. And then this dog, who's never done this before, will jump on the lap of the guardian and look in their eyes. You know, so they will answer often intuitively for everyone. And also they will demonstrate when they can physically. And I mean, that man was blown away.
So is this a physical meeting?
Yeah, so that's a physical meeting. So that's when I bring a guest animal teacher into the room to teach everybody. So across the course of a day, there'll always be two, and then we'll work with each other's animals through photographs as well. And those animals can be in physical body or passed over in spirit.
So you don't have distant courses, like online course?
I do have it. Yes. I also have a course online, which people can take. Instant access. It's self-paced. It's based on the teachings of the book, so it's called Animal Communication Made Easy. But there's even more in it. So there are things that you can't get from a book, which are meditation downloads. There's me speaking you through my 5-step heart-to-heart method, so that you can download and you can listen to that anywhere, because you can have it, downloaded to your phone, take it anywhere outside, listen to that, and then start your communication. And there's worksheets as well, and lots of little reminders in that. And I set homework in that course after every module, so that you're really taking this steady progression, rather than just trying to leap there and then failing and going, oh, this isn't for me, I can't do it. I take you gently through the modules with homework, so that I'm building your expansion and your experience up gently.
So we could say to our viewers that for those of you who read the book and really want to get into it, and perhaps don't feel that you have the dedication enough to set off time to actually do the job, it would be a good thing to hook up with P online from Sweden to the UK, right?
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. I want to ask you a few short questions, just to have a little bit of personal things around you. So we know that you live in London, and who do you live with?
I live with my partner, Joe, of 25 years.
Yeah.
And Grace, who is from Romania, and the most beautiful dog you've ever seen in your life. Really, really gentle. And also Frankie is my cat friend, who came from France. And Frankie's really interesting because Frankie basically, how to describe this quickly for you? There's an entire new book going to be about Frankie, I think. She's a re-entry story. So she's Texas re-entered into the body of Frankie, but more than just Texas. I say just Texas. Sorry, Texas, I'm not offending you. But there are so many signs, symbols, confirmations about this kitten who wanted to get to me. It was just the most amazing experience. He re-entered into this female kitten body into one of my students who does foster feral cats in the south of France. She was listening to a free training I was putting out online. The kitten heard my voice and went crazy trying to get to me through her device. And then she told me, and I went, okay, that happens occasionally. Play the replay in the morning, see what happens. Same thing, absolutely. Trying to like get at me in the phone, not interested in anybody else. And this woman said, I really think this kitten wants to connect with you. And I went, oh, okay. So I printed off her photo. I walked from my office down towards my living room. But halfway there, I heard her in my head without even having the intention of communicating with her, which can also happen. The animals can just break into us, in that sense of, I'm going to communicate with you and you're going to hear me. And she said, I want you. I want you. And so then I entered into conversation about why, and then all these signs started coming up, there'd be something on my phone popped up where there's these legs and this ginger cat sitting on the feet of these legs. And that it was something like, it's an honor when a cat chooses you, literally. A ginger cat that looked like Texas. And there'd be lots of things like that happening. Yeah. So there were all these signs, and I carried on communicating with her, and it was quite clear that she was going to come here. The guardian, the fosterer said, oh, she's really frightened. I don't know how it's going to happen. Frankie said, I am brave. And I said, well, how are we going to get you here? And she said, easy. And it turned out to be easy. I had friends that volunteered to help me bring her over. It was the easiest thing ever. She arrived, I picked her up. She just, the image, my partner took a picture of her on my chest, like this cat was home. Oh. I mean, broke into purrs straight away. And normally you let a kitten and a dog that have never met each other before have a bit of getting to know you time. She wasn't interested in that. Grace loved her instantly, and Grace knew Texas. They came together on the second day when they were on the sofa with each other on the second day. They are best friends. And she just knows things. This cat is so confident in my house. Like, I'm the boss, which is very Texas, just lots of little things. So she's Texas and more. Yeah, so that's my family.
Fantastic story. Yeah, that's your family. It sounds like a wonderful family.
It is a wonderful family.
Yeah, good. You're so calm and probably in your heart space all the time. It's I can feel it's a very comfortable space here with you. I'm not in my heart space all the time. I'm a little bit nervous. Oh, the dog here and barking there and
oh. Yeah. Maybe because I communicate every day that I'm kind of entrained now to
Yeah, but it's a good thing. And I figured if you can, we can all learn. Yeah, that's my goal. So what is your zodiac sign?
Sagittarius.
So what's that in?
That's the horse with the arrow.
Yeah, that's right. So what date are you born? Can I ask you?
It's the 9th of December.
9th of December.
Yeah.
Winter baby.
Yeah.
So do you believe in astrology?
I love astrology. Mm-hmm. I'm interested in it, but I have a problem with it in that I don't know when I was born.
Me neither.
Great. You're the first person I've met that doesn't know.
So how come you don't know?
Because whenever I asked my mum, she said, I don't really know. So
Don't you have the records in the hospital?
I don't have, not of the time, it's always the date, isn't it? I don't have that. It was in the evening and I was born in a blackout. So I was born from darkness to darkness.
Oh.
Apart from my dad, he connected a single light bulb over the bed to the car for my birth because I was home birth.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and you want to know the exact time. That's my problem too. It's so interesting.
I was talking to Pam Gregory, who I interviewed as part of my conversations with Nature World Summits, which I've done 2. I have another one coming up next year. And she said, actually, you can find out if you contact somebody that can ask you lots of questions. You can hone it back down to find out, but it's very lengthy. It takes a long time to find it out. And then I thought, I don't know if I need to know that much, what my rising is, what my this is, what my that is. I'm quite happy just knowing I'm Sagittarius, for me.
And the date is good to know.
The date, yeah.
But then again, I heard someone told me, because my story is that I've actually gone to the hospital and asked for my records. And in the transition from paper to microfilm, my journal is gone. So some journals took another route and were disappeared in that transition, and mine did, which is kind of interesting because I really like to know. So and my mom says 1 hour one time, and my dad says another. And I would like to believe them both, but it doesn't do it for me right here, not right now. In that, so somebody told me, well, because there in right this time when I probably was born, there are changes, planetary changes that make a big difference. So that's why you want to know, right? So someone told me, well, Alex, if it's you probably feel what's right, so you can just pick the one that feels the most right to you. And I figured, yeah, why not?
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
But it's funny though. It's a funny thing. I've never met someone who doesn't know either.
No. We are unique.
We're unique. Everyone's unique. So, what do you love to eat, P?
I love pasta alla norma, which is aubergines and tomatoes. It's a ottolenghi recipe. I like it with spaghetti. I love that. But I also like, baked beans in a jacket potato. That's a comfort food.
Yeah.
I love, this is what I love. I love a lot of green food. Give me a plate of green food and I'll be really happy. Lots of different salads. Love that.
And ottolenghi does so many wonderful vegetarian recipes.
Yeah. I was vegetarian for 37 years.
Oh.
But I'm vegan now.
It's a good thing.
And I was one of those people, I think, that didn't make that transition to vegan for a long time because I thought it's going to be really difficult. I'm going to miss cheese. What am I going to eat? All these sort of barriers come up in the way. But then I decided to watch some films, some documentaries, and which obviously I was open to watching. And when, no, this is the time, and I made the transition, and initially I was like, my body went into survival mode. What are you going to eat? What are you going to eat? What are you going to eat? It's ridiculous. And now, thankfully, it's all calmed down and I know what I can eat. Everything's fine. And now I wish I'd transitioned to vegan a little bit earlier, to be honest, but it all happens when it's meant to happen. I believe in divine timing. But yeah, so that's my new thing.
Good. I have vegans in the family as well, so I'm all for it. But my time is not here right now. But I try to eat mostly vegetarian, perhaps some fish now and then. Mm. So, besides communicating with animals and being with animals, what do you love to do?
I love to walk with my friends with their dog and go to the pub for a pint of cider, or a glass of wine. I love to swim in the sea in Hawaii. I love to adventure. The part of the Sagittarians is that we like to keep moving. And this period has been a little bit tricky just for that reason, that I felt a little bit stagnant. Because
During COVID, you mean?
Yeah, and even now, I've got a lot on. My partner's away, so I'm looking after the animal. Yeah, I like to travel. I like to go places. I like to discover new things and do things and push myself out of my comfort zone. So I miss taking groups to Hawaii, and Panama, and other countries, and Australia. I teach in Australia, so I missed that. I wasn't able to hold my teaching in Italy, so I missed that. But I am going to Canada next year to take a group to communicate with orcas and grizzly bears. So that will be great.
Wow.
Yeah.
In the woods.
Yeah. So in the Great Bear rainforest, and also it's all Vancouver Island. So it's all around there. There's 2 trips. We're kayaking with the orcas, and then we're camping. And then we're going to be staying in a lodge and walking with the bears, and possibly in a boat, seeing them from the water as well. And that's a communication retreat, so all of these retreats, they're all communication based. They're very respectful, they're ethical. They're about connecting with wild animals in their natural habitat, which is my big focus now, is to also broaden people's perspective of who animals are, not just of their animals, living with them, but all of the other species on the planet want to be heard.
I think that's so nice also in the book, because you open up to all species, all living species.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful, especially when we're all surrounded by insects, and many times you don't like insects. So we could completely shift focus and start communicating with them instead, listen to them and just observing them instead of being afraid or being annoyed or being stunned, whatever.
One of the great things that came out of the pandemic for me was when I asked the animal kingdom, how can I best be of service to you? And they said, we need to reach people. And I, with their guidance and Texas helping me, I created the Global Transformation series, where I went live online once a week, and we communicated with a different species, the collective of that species, once a week. And then that moved and morphed into my membership, which is called the Pride. And now people from all over the world have this interest. They join the Pride and they communicate each month with a different species. So in fact, we just communicated with dragonfly. And 2 months ago, in the last month, we communicated with the sloth. But through the Pride, not only are people practicing their animal communication, they're learning about these species, they're learning about what the species want. The species are giving them advice and help and healing. And the beautiful thing is that it's very reciprocal, and we also donate part of the funds from the Pride every single month to that species in the conservation work for that species. So, for example, pangolins. The pangolins decided they wanted to communicate with the Pride members 1 month, so they came forward. We had this big communication, and then money goes to the pangolin fund that the members vote on. Everybody gets a choice of 3 to vote on, and so through a members vote, we decide on where the money is donated forward to this conservation.
Wonderful.
To try and help those people that are working on the front line with those species to save them, or to make their lives easier or safer. The Pride is
There's a lot of them. Who needs that?
a lot of them, and it's all about raising awareness. The Pride is so massively successful because people, they want to be able to communicate with animals, and also people are really interested in what these different species have to say. Then, some species they've never really considered that much, or they don't know much about. And what do they want to communicate about their lives? What do they want to communicate to humans about human lives and the state of the planet and the transformational times that we're all living in on Mother Earth? So it's fantastic. So thank you for that space, that was provided in order for that to come forward. The Pride is wonderful.
Good thing from COVID times.
Yeah, good thing.
So do you have a motto in life? Life motto? Rule you live by?
That I live by. The one I always come back to is that everyone has the ability to communicate with animals. Everyone. And it's slower for some people than others. And I know it's cliche to call it a journey, but it is, because really it's a life skill. And depending on what else is going on in our lives and what we've experienced in the past, sometimes those things aid us, and sometimes they make it a little bit slower. We might have some things to work through. So that's the one I always keep saying. Everyone, absolutely everyone can communicate with animals. And with this book, I've laid it all out. So I wrote that book in 2017. It came out in 2018. So that's 16 years of my experience, my struggle, this doesn't work, let's try that, so 16 years worth of this way works, laid it all out. You don't have to do all the struggle. Just read this, try that, do this, practice that, and you will get there, because I know, because it works, and I teach it, and I've seen other people be able to communicate with animals.
Have you experienced that there are animals that don't want to communicate back?
Yeah, there are. Same with people, they're and that can be for a lot of different reasons. They sometimes feel that their guardian is not really in a place for the communication, or they're in such disharmony with the human being that they know that it won't be heard. So those are the two main reasons an animal won't communicate. Sometimes I think that it comes across like they won't, but that's when we need more patience, because they might be traumatized, or they might be grieving, or in pain. And so with those animals, initially it might appear that they're not interested. But if we treat it then more like a counseling session, where we really have to provide the space and the time and the slowness for that animal to communicate in a way that feels comfortable for them, then they open up, and that can happen over many sessions rather than receiving everything in one sit down with them.
Yeah. When you
I was going to say, sorry, just occasionally, Alexandra, they are not interested. They are too busy. They don't want to because they've got free will. You might ask an animal, how are you? What are you doing? And the Texas would say to me, I'm on important cat business. And it's like he put the phone down. It's like, I'm not talking to you. They're just their focus is somewhere else.
Yeah. And of course, it's mutual. It should be it's not just when we want to. It's also when they want to, right?
Yeah, it's all about free will. This is another sentient being. It's not something that we do to them.
Mhm.
We're engaging with them. It's
Yeah.
based on unconditional love and equality.
Mm.
So they have a 50% stake in the communication.
Yeah, that's very right. So if we experience that in our training, we should just continue, not give up, just give it another shot at another time, perhaps.
Yeah, ask them this question. Ask them, is this a good time for you to communicate with me?
Good one.
Because even with cats, they may say no, because they're sleeping or they're astral traveling or they just want to be in their own zone. They might be self-healing.
Mm.
So ask them, is this a good time for you?
The questions that you ask they don't come naturally to me. So in the way that you state them, and I think that's key because it depends on how we are communicating, perhaps as human beings with each other. If you are more, the nurturing or how do you say, attracting someone's thoughts rather than telling them, or
Mm,
I don't
mm.
know.
But this is something that can be learned, though.
Yeah, I'm
It,
sure.
it's you can write the questions down that you think you want to ask, and then you can go through them one at a time and go, is this open? Is this from the heart? Is this going to create engagement? Can I word it another way? Is there clarity? And in the book, I've put some suggested questions just to help people, get going. But it will then start to come quite natural.
Yeah, I'm sure. But it's just that when I hear you speaking, it would probably be something that I needed to think about more.
Yeah, but everybody does. I know when I teach my workshops and I ask people, write down 3 questions that you want to ask your animal. And then I go around and I have a look at their questions and I have to do little tweaks because there's too much confusion in the question because they've asked like so much and put so much detail in there. Or it's a little bit layered with, expectation or desire, for an outcome that let's just soften it. Let's just soften that question a little bit.
Yeah. It was so funny because preparing this meeting with you, I put down a few questions that I wanted to ask my dog, and after that, I went into your very nice homepage where you can find a lot of information and the story of you and everything, and also there you could ask, you could see the questions that most people ask their dogs, what they want to know. And I almost started crying because it was exactly the questions I had put down.
Oh,
Are you happy? What can I
yes.
do to make things better for you?
Yeah.
All those things. It was
Yeah.
it was
Are
quite.
you happy? And have you got a message for me? The 2 most asked questions.
Yeah,
Is there anything you want to tell me? Yeah.
yeah. That's an open one. Yeah, good, good, good.
And I love the last one. I love the have you got anything you wish to tell me or share with me? Because that openness means that the animal has such a window to express.
Yeah.
And often the most beautiful part of the communication will come with that question.
Mm. And that's obviously a question you can ask many times because there are different answers to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
And also you can ask, are you happy many times, but you just need to go, are you happy today?
Yeah.
Are you feeling happy right now?
Yeah.
Um, I'd probably change it slightly now to, how are you feeling right now? Rather to avoid the yes or no answer.
Yeah. P, is there anything you want to tell your Swedish audience?
Yeah, actually I want to give the platform to Texas to speak to the Swedish audience
Oh.
because he very much wrote this book with me. He wrote all the best bits, he said.
Of course.
You know in your heart you can do this. We hold you. The entire animal kingdom holds you within our circle with love. And we invite you to drop down to your heart and to speak with us from there. We are ready.
That's beautiful, Alexis. We are ready. So are we ready? Yeah, I would say we are. Should get going. Start communicating.
It's time for action.
P, I want to just thank you from the bottom of my heart for this time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been lovely to meet you and to talk about my favorite subject.
Yeah,
And to share.
you don't know. Maybe we will meet here again in a few months' time, and it will be my favorite subject too. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Let's stay in touch.
Much love.
Much love. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.